The plot to replace Washington. America did not nearly lose the revolution to the British. It nearly lost it to impatience, and to pride, and to a letter never meant to be read. My name is Benedict. No, not that one. Today, I will tell you about the winter they tried to replace George Washington. The war was not going well. New York had been lost. The army was retreating. Congress was anxious. And then, almost unexpectedly, came triumph. General Horatio Gates defeated the British at Saratoga. It was a decisive victory, a turning point, and it was not Washington's. Praise poured in for Gates. Whispers began in Congress. If Gates could win, and Washington could not, why was Washington still in command? You must understand the mood of the time. The revolution was fragile. Soldiers lacked boots. Supplies were scarce. Defeat felt closer than independence. Washington had lost more battles than he had won. Some members of Congress began to wonder if he was simply not enough. They did not accuse him openly. They wrote letters. One of those letters came from Thomas Conway, an Irish-born officer in the Continental Army. Talented, ambitious, not discreet. He wrote privately to Gates, praising his success and criticizing Washington. The line that mattered was this: "Heaven has determined to save your country, or a weak general and bad counselors would have ruined it." The weak general was Washington. The letter was not intended for public view. But revolutions are porous things. Someone copied it. And somehow, it reached Washington. Imagine receiving that. Not from the enemy, from your own officer, from a man entrusted with command. Washington did not erupt. He did not summon Conway in fury. He did something quieter. He wrote to him, calm, measured, controlled. And in his reply he referenced the exact line from the private letter. No threats, no accusation, just this unmistakable message. I am aware. The effect was devastating. Conway scrambled. Gates distanced himself. Congress grew uncomfortable. The whispers, once confident, began to scatter. Historians debate whether this was a true conspiracy. There were no formal votes to remove Washington, no armed uprising. It was subtler than that. It was erosion, ambition dressed as concern, comparison dressed as patriotism. The idea that perhaps the indispensable man was, in fact, dispensable. What most Americans do not know is this: Washington considered stepping down. He was exhausted. He had endured criticism from Congress, shortages from suppliers, and defeats in battle. He knew he was not universally loved. And yet, he stayed. Not to defend his pride, but to steady the army. That winter, he marched to Valley Forge, not into glory, into suffering. While critics debated in heated rooms, he remained in frozen camps with his soldiers. That is leadership rarely celebrated in marble. The so-called Conway Cabal unraveled quickly. Conway resigned after being wounded in a duel. Gates never regained the same influence. And Washington? He emerged not diminished, but strengthened. Because he had done something rare. He absorbed criticism without fracturing the cause. Years later, when the war was won, Washington did something that permanently ended all doubts. He surrendered his commission, voluntarily, to Congress. No king would have done that. No tyrant would have done that. A weaker man might not have survived 1777 long enough to make that choice. Revolutions do not fail only from outside attack. They fail when ambition outruns character. Washington was not flawless, but when tested by envy and impatience, he chose restraint. And sometimes the survival of a republic depends less on brilliance and more on endurance. And America has always argued with itself. The miracle is that it endures.